Welcome to the first episode of Laying Fallow. I'm Donna Von Bruning. Today we speak with DeVon Moore. I thought it fitting that DeVon be my first episode because he was my first yes when I approached him with the project. DeVon was a film major at Savannah Arts Academy and graduated in December of 2023 with a degree in film from Georgia State University. DeVon is a committed student of the craft of storytelling, and he is not afraid to chase his dreams. I have no doubt you will see his name in the movie credits in the not-too-distant future. Do you remember your quote? Or do you want me to read it to you?
No, I don't remember it. I know it was very positive speaking, but I don't remember it.
Is that your norm, to try to be positive?
I guess back in 2020 when we didn't have a graduation and stuff, it was all about let's make the best out of what we have. And I always try to be positive because what's the point of being negative when
right.
I guess something else will work out, but I don't remember what I said.
So this is what you said. Although the end of our senior year was detrimental for all the reasons everyone knows, for me, Film Fest getting canceled was definitely one of the hardest hits ever in my life. We worked so hard to make something that was memorable for everyone who was a part of it. Hoopin' Season was my farewell film to Savannah Arts. Not only did that take a toll on me, it's the fact that my heart, mind, and soul went into it. For me, making films isn't machine-driven. It's a combination of my emotions, my experiences, my consciousness, my character, and my faith in God. It takes all of that and more to create a film that I'm proud of and means more to me than what's on the screen. I think those characteristics allowed me to push past the pandemic and finish the film. As I enter a new stage in my life, I'm not scared because I know God walks with me. I hope to use my gift of filmmaking to inspire generations. High school was only the beginning of my journey. How do you feel about that now?
Sounds pretty familiar. I guess I still stand on it because, I just, essentially relived that whole experience with another project. I didn't get to complete the project because of unforeseen circumstances. But it only took, I'm still dealing with it as I just saw people that were a part of the project, down the street, and it kind of reaped up all the emotions that I felt. But I guess I still stand the same because, I love film. I don't really I apply myself to a lot of things, but not as much as film. Mm-hmm. And I think because of all those intangible characteristics is what allows me to be I did lose that film. Let me start another one eventually, just to keep going and to keep my faith strong and to develop as a person. Maybe I think in high school I wasn't as developed with film as it may seem to me at the time because, back then we were just, very loose and very charismatic with filmmaking, which I think back on now, I appreciate, that kind of wildness to it, because now it's just so, but I miss that.
You miss that.
Yeah. I don't have to, fall into, this pit of, join a sorority or join this, or because I found out that I'm just truly not. Some of those clubs just don't stimulate me.
Right.
And I've always felt like that. I was in this group in high school, and I don't think we should even put this in, but just to go, when you go in, it was this group called, the 100 Black Men of, Savannah, and, it was, this whole, constructive way of thinking how college prepares you. But then I realized, the main flaw in the program was, they were focused on, doctors and, educators and stuff, not creatives.
Not creatives.
So I couldn't answer the questions that I wanted to answer.
Too narrow of a path.
Too narrow of a path. You could put that in there if you want to.
Yeah.
I was just joking.
So, to that end, I would say the past 4 years, since 2020, have thrust social fractures to the forefront, including Black Lives Matter, Roe versus Wade, the war on Hamas, anti-Semitism, on and on and on. Tell me your experience with these changes. Has it made you a more empathetic person or the opposite?
Those are very big social movements.
Huge.
That are constantly kind of going on. And it's devastating. I pray for all the people that are going through these tumultuous experiences that, shouldn't be happening. But at the same time, I do feel 20 years ago, even with 9/11, and I'm not even speaking on it for 9/11, like, that was a huge thing, and it's still, like, actually earthquaking to go back and see the videos of, like, the buildings shake and everything. But at the time, you have to realize that people did not know what was going on. Like, it took a minute for people to actually realize that planes crashed into the building, and now we know that, you know, like, kids are being bombed, like, you know, like, immediately. And that has, like, a very bad wear on the brain and, like, your heart and stuff. And I am empathetic for them, but I think, you know, like, me as a growing individual, like, you still soak in a lot of stuff, like, more than what you can take in. So, like, I'm trying my best to, like, tone down on some of the information that I see, and I'm not miseducated at all. Like, I know very well my stances on stuff. But I think for me as a creative, like, I need peace to create. And if I don't have peace to create, then things go, like, very, very wrong. And I've, like, been experiencing that for, like, a couple months now. So despite what's going on in the world, like, I'm super empathetic. Like, I definitely care, and I definitely educate myself, like, on the right causes. And I actually talk to people, like, that are, like, dealing with these situations and that are closer to the situations than what we are down in the American South. But, you know, like, if I'm just trying to get my foot in the water as a person, like, you know, I try to tone down as much. Like I said earlier, like, I don't really watch big news like that, or, like, newspapers or, like, mainstream outlets. Like, I try to go into, like, the personable nitty-gritty.
Well, I mean, it makes sense to me because as a creative as well, we're empathetic, period, and you can't absorb all that. It's too much. It's too much to bear.
Too much,
and then to maintain, but at the same time, you still have to expose yourself to it to tell the stories. So, most of the academics have labeled you and your classmates' experience as a trauma. Would you agree? And if so, what has this trauma taught you?
I would not agree that it's trauma. I think that's a little overstating, like, the experience in a sense, because, I mean, like, it wasn't, like, a very, like, I feel like sometimes trauma is just something that is, like, direct, like, super, super direct, you know? And it was direct, but, like, it happened to, like, 100 people at the same time, thousands of kids at the same time. So it's like, if 100 people are, like, in the movie theater and one person, like, sneezes, like, that's not gonna affect your experience of the, like, watching the movie. But like, if 99 out of 100 people are sneezing during the movie, then it's gonna affect your experience. So I don't think it was trauma. I just think it was a very, 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 very bad case. And I think more than few have, like, recovered from, like, you know, that experience through time. Like, it's been 4 years, you know? And I realize that now because I get agitated when I hear people constantly bringing up high school or, like, Washington Avenue or something. And I say Washington Avenue as, like, the general area of, like...
Understood.
Kind of, like...
Lived that period of time.
So it agitates me because I'm focusing on 20 million other things that are in the present and future, and, you know, so I definitely understand if I'm getting agitated, then it's definitely not trauma.
Okay, this is going to be, like, my last question.
Ask as many questions.
All right. Well, then, okay, like, what do you think people misunderstand about 22-year-olds today? There's that too general for you.
No, that's a good question. Because my dad was having this conversation with me. Because he works at, like, not construction, but it's JCB, so, like, they build military-grade stuff sometimes. And they have, like, a lot of internships, like, come through, and, like, he has to deal with, like, a lot of young people, and a lot of young people, to him, feel entitled that since we have, like, more education before we get in the workforce, that we don't always have to listen to the older people in the workforce. And I feel like in life generally, like, a lot of more seasoned, experienced people don't take the time to listen to us because we haven't had that much growth and experience in life, but, like, we're experiencing life at a different rate. You know what I mean? Like, life is way faster than maybe what my mom experienced, or definitely what my sister experienced, you know? Like, life is way faster. Like, we're gripping onto things way more.
How old's your sister?
30-something.
Okay, so she's a little bit older.
Yeah. Like, we're gripping onto life more.
Why do you think that is?
Just the access to everything. Like, we have access to pretty much anything that we want, you know? Like, I see now that, bro, like, people order packages, like, every day from, like, Amazon or something. I personally don't order that many packages, but the access to having what you want from any part of the store or world is like pretty much insane. And then you have like any type of entertainment that you want, any type of book that you want, any type of like, you know, person that you want to talk to, or person that you want to experience. Like, we still talk to Martin, and Martin is in Qatar, you know, and we went to high school together, you know?
Right.
And that is insane because, like, my mom could not do that back in her day. My sister could not do that when she was...
You'd be writing letters.
Right. To Qatar, it wouldn't even get there if it was, like, back then, you know? So that's kind of, like, insane, and, like, just so much access to everything is, you know, I feel like there's a disconnect in it. If we understood that more, and if, you know, other people experienced or understood that more, then I think we could bridge the disconnect. And
then there is a phenomenon, I don't know if you've heard of it, called the quarter-century crisis, in which 25-year-olds are not where they thought they would be, and they experience a period of uncertainty, disillusionment, and questioning. Do you think that that is a strong possibility for your class, or do you think that the majority of people that you know have already experienced it because of the pandemic?
Either we are going to experience it or are experiencing it right now, because I think just the world that we are in right now is just way harder. Like, I'm applying to so many jobs, and no job has like taken a look at my resume and thought that, oh, this is a person that we need on our team or in our office. And, you know, we're used to growing up with stories that I came out right out of college and got a 9-to-5 or something, like something stable, and that's not the predicament that we're in right now. And we look at it like, even if we were to get a 9-to-5, how many years do we need to save to get our first apartment, at least, you know, the first house in a city that we want to live in? You know, we don't want to live in no, like, country, out of town city just to commute to work. Like, we want to live to, like, where we...
in the city.
Right. You know?
Yeah.
So I think, like, because of that, and because of kind of, like, once again, the access to seeing people that actually are well off, like, that are part of, like, the very insane, you know, predicaments of life, like, some of that gets, I won't say traumatizing, but inflicting, like, how am I not in this position yet? Like, I have that experience from time to time. Like, but what humbled me was seeing people that are like in a very well position. Like, I did this project out in LA, and this is my first time like really truly meeting people that are from LA that work in this film industry, as we call it. And these are some of the like nicest people, and I'm like, how old are you? They're like, oh, I'm 28, or I'm 30 something, or I'm 40 something. And I'm like, how long did it take you to get here? You hear their story, and it's like, okay, let me calm down, you know? Like, because I'm blessed to be out in LA. I couldn't even drink at the time, thinking about it. Like, I wasn't even the legal age of drinking. And these people are like, oh, this is my first stadium project. This is my first project being on this
right
set
in their late 20s, early 30s.
And I'm like, okay, let me calm down. Let me, like, whatever I was working on back at home does not matter, because, like, I'll get there eventually. So exposure definitely does help, in a sense.
So where do you want to go next?
Man, I asked
you
myself
want to go to California?
I asked myself that question a lot. I mean, I would love to go anywhere, to be honest. Like, I think that Savannah is a place that I definitely will always call home. But for me to grow, for me to really become the creative that I want to, like, Savannah would be a very demanding place to ask that from. And I've begun to realize it now just with, like, jobs and the people that I interact with. So, you know, that thing, and kind of Georgia as a whole. I won't say Atlanta, because Atlanta has plenty of work, but I'm still very family rooted up there, which is always, you know...
good and bad.
And I talked about the expanse of family, so, you know, it's like, I definitely love my family, but for me to grow as a person, and once again as a creative, like, as a creative, you need peace to create. Like,
well, that comes with obligations, so I'll tell you that I understand that, because my husband and I moved away right after we got married, away from family, because when you're around them, there's expectations, there's obligations, and it doesn't allow you to wholly focus on yourself.
Definitely. So I mean, if California wants to like open its arms to me, like in the near future, like I'll be happy to accept it. you know, because I've been out there. I like what I saw out there, you know, along with the pros and cons. Like, I still need to travel up north and do work up north, you know.
You say up north, where do you mean?
Like New York area, you know, stuff like that. And by all means, like, if I have to travel out the country, like, I certainly will. Like, I found that I truly love, like, education on my own pace. Like, I'm learning Arabic now. I'm getting back into Spanish as well. And, you know, like, the Arab world is, like, always one of those worlds that a lot of Americans speculate on just because, you know, what we've experienced kind of, like, in terms of what we've been fed and taught and what we saw and stuff. But, you know, fortunately, their world of film is coming up, you know, like, kind of like how the French were back when film started to become a thing. So, you know, it's always good to kind of, like, get used to, like, some of the domains of the world that are trying to dive into your career. And, you know, like, Europe is always one of those places. Learning Spanish is cool as well, kind of getting back into that. So anywhere, I would love to be, like, a nomad creator. I mean, but I want a home for sure, where I can, like, go to bed at night, you know? But, I mean, just traveling like that, traveling and being creative is definitely a set idea, but, you know.
Did I miss anything? Is there anything else you want to tell me?
I don't think so. I think we talked about pretty much everything. Being creative, trauma, high school, getting agitated by high school.
Are there really a ton of people that can't let it go? Really?
Yes.
Because in my research, I went on Reddit, and there was so much about
Reddit
that.
is a bad place to kind of...
I wanted to see what the conversations were.
Reddit is a good place to find conversation, but it's a bad place to find, like, normal conversation.
Well, right. There was a lot of, you know, let it go.
It's a lot of extremism on Reddit. I think it's more about the people that, all right, they realized that leaving high school, they're going to do college, and then they found out college wasn't for them. So now they, like, pull back, and now they're, like, they haven't progressed in terms of, like, educational standards, not calling them dumb or smart, but then also, like, just, like, development as a person, because college demands, like, a lot of discipline and a lot of about you. So they haven't necessarily, like, developed these skills in terms of, like, where they have been in life, so they kind of reflect back on, like, when life had no responsibilities. That's what I hear the most often, when life didn't have any responsibility to it.
Thanks for listening to Laying Fallow. Be sure to listen to the rest of the episodes, and to learn more and see the portraits from both 2020 and 2024, head over to my website, www.donnavonbruning.com, or to my Instagram, @DonnaVonBruning.